On a beautiful sunny morning in Japan 77 years ago, an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, and more than 100,000 people were vaporized instantly. Their lives were gone. The survivors suffered unbelievable hardship, trauma, and sorrow. Our hearts and prayers go out to these families, and we take time today to strengthen our resolve to work against nuclear disarmament so that this type of mass devastation will never happen again. So a few years ago, my friend, Sister Andrea Coverman, who's also on the board of Bene, invited me to an event in Cincinnati. There we were commemorating the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and I was very moved when a woman spoke and explained how her grandparents had been killed in the bombing. I wanted to express my condolences and apologies that my nation had harmed her family so severely. As the woman continued to explain the science behind nuclear weapons, I learned that the nuclear testing that the United States engaged with in the 1940s and 50s caused horrific pollution. When the ash moved westward on the wind, it spread from the nuclear test sites to the Midwest, and it fell on the rain onto the grass. The cows ate the grass, and many of the people who drank that contaminated milk developed leukemia later in life. My great-grandfather was a farmer in the Midwest, and he developed leukemia later in life and died a very painful death. Going into the presentation, I did not realize that these same weapons cost my family years with a loved one as well. This is how nuclear weapons work. The logic behind them is homicide. My great-grandfather hated nuclear weapons for all of his life, and he pleaded with his grandchildren to also work against them. I wish that he would have lived long enough for me to introduce him to many of my heroes and friends who have done plowshares actions working against nuclear weapons. The stakes right now are higher than ever with Russia's nuclear threats and NATO's careless expansion and promise breaking. I'm sure that my great-grandpa, if he was still with us, would be writing letters and working toward peace and watching the news this summer. And we can celebrate the creative protests of those who showed up in Spain this June to stand up against NATO expansion. We can also celebrate the grassroots actions in NATO countries to remove the nuclear weapons from their countries. Congratulations to Germany, Turkey, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Italy for their efforts to disarm. Some of my greatest causes for hope this summer spring from this June's successful meeting in Vienna about the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. The Secretary General of the United Nations, congratulated them on their 1. Establishment of a scientific advisory group that will address technical challenges to disarmament. 2. The deadlines they have set for the destruction of nuclear weapons by nuclear-armed states joining the treaty, or the removal from the states that do not own the weapons. 3. The working groups that they have organized to help the victims, the environment, and international peace. The Treaty to Prohibit Nuclear Weapons has been international law since January 22nd, 2021, and as of this summer, 65 countries have already ratified the treaty. These days of commemoration are a time to grieve, to communicate and strategize, and to extend our best wishes to survivors and grieving families. We pray for inner peace for all those working for nonviolence in our world today. And so I'm keeping you in my thoughts and my prayers. Keep working on nonviolence and disarmament. Thanks so much for watching, and peace out.